is it that you should be approaching the market? Ajay currently is in conversation with none other than Madhusudan Kela.
You have to dig a little bit more deeper, and you will be able to find companies. Whether power sector will have growth for the next 5 to 10 years, I have absolutely no doubt in my mind. Now, whether it is a thermal power, whether it is a renewable power, we require power. You are seeing what is the with this all this global warming and the temperature touching 46, 48 degree 46, 48 degree even in the month of April and early May. I think power is a structural story, and there will be a lot of opportunities in this sector. However, I would say investors need to be careful. When they are investing, they need to do their homework. Now it is more about not top-down, Ajay. It is more about bottom-up, right? The top-down sector has played out, but it is more about digging and really being able to figure out this is the company which is still undervalued, and this is the company which has potential to give, reasonable returns over the next few years. One more point which I would like to suggest, Ajay, that because as you rightly said, lot of money is being made in this sector over the last 3-4 years. So one has to be really in the expectation of return. One has to moderate their expectation and look for reasonable return. You just can't extrapolate what happened in the last 3 years. Exactly the same thing will get repeated over the next 3 years.
The bull market is perhaps over, and now comes the tricky part where you have to dig deeper and find better quality names. So that's the word coming in from you. Madhu,
I would correct. I don't think the bull market is over. Okay. Ajay, I'm sorry, I'll correct you. I don't think the bull market is over. I think the easy money is over. Fair. You could buy anything and make money. That is over. I think now there is a more difficult part.
Valid point. Madhu, you also, went behind PSUs when nobody was talking about them, be it PSU banks and several other PSUs. And the journey of not so efficient kind of business models to now efficient and almost compared to their private sector peers on several performance metrics, the journey has been long and very rewarding. Do you think the investment argument for PSUs is still as intact and strong across sectors? What are your thoughts on PSUs?
I don't think it is as strong from a stock market perspective on the overall PSU sector. I would say, but there are pockets, like I would make an argument, and you know my bullishness, and I hold a couple of stocks still in my portfolio, so investors must, do their own due diligence before taking action on what I am saying. I still remain very, very bullish on the PSU banks, for instance, selectively. I think they are not trading at crazy valuation. Some of the large banks you can still find that they are trading at 5-6 PE multiple if you are willing to take a 2-3 year view. Now, why should a public sector bank which is making 20% ROE should trade at 5 PE multiple? I am a 5 or 6 PE multiple. I am not able to figure out. Market has re-rated quite a lot in the last 3 years in terms of prices have gone up. But the valuations have not yet become crazy for me to give the discomfort. But the same level of comfort I don't have across PSU sector.
So again, something which we need to take heart from that blanket bullishness on PSUs is not the right time. You need to take sector by sector, stock by stock call on PSUs now. The way, say 4 years back, there was a blanket bullishness and undervaluation across PSUs. Fine. One section of the market is getting, attention we have not seen in almost several quarters. That is consumers. And within consumers, I don't think you have looked at anything beyond liquor stocks. So I am tempted to ask you a little more about consumers overall, right from staples to discretionary. But in particular, last 3-4 days, liquor stocks are making big moves. You had some of those names for 2-3 years now. They've done well. What has changed, and what are your thoughts on liquor, if you can explain that?
So you have to give me some time, Ajay, to explain this. Just to clarify, I hold some consumer names, but that's fine. So liquor, in my opinion, is a very good structural theme in India, right? And I think this sector will play out over the next 5 to 10 years. And let me give you the reason, So we analyzed China in detail. So the largest company in China makes over $10 billion of profit. Let me reiterate. It makes over $10 billion of profit. It sells 600 million cases of liquor, and it has a market capitalization of $325 billion, even in a Chinese market like currently what it is trading. So the overall profit pool of Chinese companies all put together, smaller companies, big companies, some private companies, would be in excess of $15 billion. If I compare that to the overall profit pool of Indian companies, it will not be even $1 billion at a PAT level. So, now this is the industry, or this is one segment which you can strictly compare, because there is no reason why liquor industry will not be as vibrant in India as it is there in China. We have more people as compared with China now, younger population, who will look to consume liquor once our per capita income increases. We have seen in lot of other sectors, in lot of other places, that this liquor consumption has increased, and hence there has been birth of many valuable companies. That's such a point number one. The point number two, why is it so in India? Because it is a state subject, and there is a lot of inefficiency in this, which is essentially holding up the sector. Let me just give you one example. When Yogi Adityanath government came in Uttar Pradesh, the total excise revenue of Uttar Pradesh was 17,500 crores, right? It was around 8,000 crores in 2010. It went to, from 8,000 it went to roughly 17,500 crores by 2017, 18 when the government came in. Ajay, today that revenue is 50,000 crores. I repeat again, it is 50,000 crores. Previously it was 6% of the overall Uttar Pradesh revenue collection. As of now, it is over 10% of the overall revenue collection, when the revenue itself has doubled. So you have seen what a positive government can do, right? Because they came in, they cleaned up the whole system. Previously it was only one wholesaler which was controlling the whole state. They cleaned up the full system, and they came in, and you have seen the results. And it has become a clean system now. There are 500 wholesalers, retail shops are being auctioned, and it is a fair system now. I see this will put a lot of pressure to other states to replicate, because we know states are really stretched for revenue. And I see it starting now. We have Chandrababu Naidu in Andhra Pradesh. I am quite hopeful he, as a pragmatic leader, will take the same approach, and I will not be surprised that if other states by force or by choice will have to follow the suit. Once this becomes, then the overall profitability of the sector will rise. And we have to play this, Ajay. I am not speaking from a 1 or 2 year perspective. I am speaking this from a next 5 to 10 year perspective. I think there is a lot of wealth creation here, and I must disclose I have significant investment in this sector.
Particular part of the consumer space also merits attention. I want to understand, just a quick follow-up on that. There is one side of the liquor basket, Radico, Khetans of the world, United Spirits, some of them maybe in your portfolio. I just want to, for example purposes, catering to the high-end premium kind of a consumer. On the other hand, we have Tilak Nagar, Jagatjeet, Som Distillery of the world. There are half a dozen companies. How should investors approach this space? Which side do you think are earning prospects higher, or should a basket approach be a better one?
Again, just to explain my point, we'll discuss some examples, Ajay. It is not my recommendation to buy these shares. Let's say I've been invested in Radico for a long time. You have seen what a fabulous journey this company has had in last 17, 18 years. You know, they were selling whiskey at 500 rupees a bottle. Now they sold, the same company has sold a whiskey at 5 lakh rupees a bottle. Right? They sold 400 cases few months back at 5 lakh rupees a bottle. And the brand is globally recognized now. Right? So I think it is a journey, Ajay. When you make liquor, actually you only, to make a higher quality of liquor, you have to only distill it for, in a normal liquor you will distill it for 24 hours. In a higher quality you may have to distill it for 96 hours or so. So there is no change in the raw material. The raw material is the same. There is a 25 rupee kg rice or a jow. The raw material doesn't change. Hence, if you are able to build a brand, then you make serious money in this sector, and that is what is being proven by Pernod Ricard, by Diageo worldwide. If you look at their brand, they are selling, you know, one bottle of 750 grams at, you know, 25,000, 30,000, 40,000 rupees. You look at a lot of these Japanese whiskies which are trading at 20, 30,000 rupees a bottle. So I see it's a journey for the liquor companies. As you start to generate cash, you will start to invest into premiumization, and a lot of these companies will follow the suit. And India is happening, Ajay. When we go abroad, you feel very proud that, you know, in so many airports now Indian-made whiskey, Indian-made liquor is available.
We've all seen the stories of Indri and Rampur Scotch and all of that doing the headlines, how they are becoming the most admired brands even globally. Let's move on and talk about few more sectors. Madhu, we get the opportunity of talking to you not very often. NBFCs. Now the talk is that the government may come and, you know, put the spotlight on the rural and tier 3, tier 4 side of the economy as well, which has been a bit under stress. More credit may start going there. Affordable housing companies or companies which have affordable housing plays in them, NBFCs, SME related NBFCs. This side of the story is not very often discussed. Most of the limelight goes towards larger banks. What are your thoughts on NBFCs now, and what category would you go after or would bet on?
So even pre-election, Ajay, I had an interaction with media, and I said that I am very constructive on the overall financial sector. So I remain constructive. I think some of the corporate banks are also, you know, available at very reasonable valuation compared to their historical past. Hardly any return is being made in the last 4 or 5 years. I would argue, you know, it is a good thing to have them in your portfolio. However, as you rightly said, within the whole sector, the biggest opportunity might be in the housing finance sector. Basically, because the companies are available at a very reasonable valuation. I think, you know, the action from the regulator in some cases, rightly so, has been done away with, and it is reflected in the stock prices and the valuation of a lot of financial sector companies in general. So, and housing sector, you know, has a very good tailwind in India over the next 1 decade. And these companies are available at reasonable valuation, so they offer a very, very good risk reward. You can find a really good run, you know, housing finance company at one-time book value, which is a very, very good risk reward. So I would say that this is where some of the winners could come within the whole financial sector over the next 2 or 3 years.
No, you speak with a lot of entrepreneurs, listed, unlisted, of all shapes and sizes, and then of course you take that analysis and apply in the market. What is your sense of the underlying economic momentum right now in our country? If you know, and we see next 2 to 3 year period corporate profitability, where do you see the trajectory go? Do you see any wrinkle on that front, or you are assured that the
Ajay, it's a beautiful question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a beautiful question. I would say that, you know, if you go to COVID period when things were really under stress, I think corporate balance sheet in my 30-year career has not looked better than what they are today. Or if I take a 1 or 2 year view, lot of companies which had huge debt, even larger companies, have shaved off a lot of debt. There is the internal generations have increased in a lot of sectors, because Ajay, what happened, in the last 10 years, a lot of weaker players have weaned out. In every sector, whether you look at infrastructure, power, any sector you pick up, you can find 10 companies which were in business 10 years back, and they are not part of the growth story today, and they are struggling, right? So competition went down. People were very conscious because of what has happened in the last credit cycle. Entrepreneurs are very conscious when they take debt, whether at a personal level or at a balance sheet level. So everyone virtually who I speak to has become very, very careful, and it is reflected in the balance sheet, right? And we are seeing what corporate profitability today as a percentage of GDP is many-fold higher than what it used to be even 4 or 5 years ago. I see really no change in the overall profitability. It can't grow as it has grown in terms of percentage return over the last 4 years, but it will continue the momentum. It will grow, if we grow 8% GDP and let's say 4 or 5% inflation, so your nominal GDP growth rate will be 13%, and corporate profitability, I expect, will grow at a higher rate than the nominal GDP. But Ajay, corporates are gung-ho, a lot of people are very optimistic, people are making commitments, and the beautiful thing about this time is that a lot of these commitments are coming in a very sensible manner, and it is coming out of internal accruals and reasonable borrowing rather than only from borrowings.
Madhu, while the GDP number looks good and the larger corporates appear to be in good shape, there's also equal truth in the point that the rural economy have been under stress. Perhaps things are turning now, and the government also may realize and put extra effort and capital resources towards that side. But rural plays, there are a wide bunch of rural plays. Have you researched anything, either rural financiers or typical FMCG company or pumps company or some other irrigation plays? How should one approach the rural kind of a turnaround right now?
Ajay, honestly, I'm loving talking to you. You just took word from my mouth. Essentially, I would say the next 5 years, apart from other things, I think the rural area will be real focus of this government, right? And as we have seen Mr. Modi's track record over so many years, right? He will recognize it that is where the party has actually not done well, specifically in rural areas. And there is no denial that the purchasing power in rural areas had gone down. It was reflected into the growth of a lot of FMCG companies. It was reflected into our interaction with these kind of companies over the last 3-4 years. I think it will be a tremendous focus area, Ajay, in the next 4 to 5 years. And from a stock market perspective, the new winners actually could come from this sector, right? I'm not at a liberty to talk individual stocks, but we are invested and rightly positioned in this sector, and we will look for more opportunity to invest into this sector, considering the fiscal situation of the government and considering the fiscal powder which they have. I think the government will be very, very proactive and liberal to address the issue of rural India. And also, Ajay, in the next 5 years, the other big agenda, in my opinion, will be to solve this employment issue. So you will see a lot of action from the government in these two areas, rural and the employment, and I'm sure a lot of the companies directly or indirectly will benefit out of this constructive work which lies ahead from the government over the next 5 years.
That is something you can leave some homework for our viewers and investors to work about what kind of irrigation plays are there and how should they bet on it. But Madhu, thanks very much for your time this afternoon and laying the kind of a foundation for the market sentiment as well, people who follow you. Thanks very much. You're saying that the next 5 years, stable government is enough. Corporate
Ajay,
India is
before
doing
I
well.
go,
Sure, please.
before I go, I just want to make one mention on this. You know, while I am very bullish, I want to say that investors need to be very, we have to do a lot of in-depth work. Now we are back to basics. Whatever company you are buying, do not believe in any tip. Do not believe just because XYZ person is buying, because there is a lot of froth. There are a lot of stories which are going around, and markets will be difficult to make money from. There are opportunities, but just, you know, believe in your hard work and in-depth work which you do on individual companies rather than anything else. There are still opportunities, but you know, the bull phase of the market, what we saw last 3-4 years, should not get extrapolated for the next 3-4 years. Money making will be tough. It will not be as easy as it was for last 3-4 years. Thank you so much.
Fair point. A word of caution, do your homework, dig deep, don't take the bull market for granted. Things will be not as easy from here on the way they were, but of course the larger bull run is still intact. Madhu, always interact, enjoy our interactions. Thanks very much for your time today as well.
I really enjoyed, Ajay, but I must say I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so
very
much.
much.
Thank
My
you so
pleasure.
much.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.